you. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Cree, Innu, Cree, Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nations in Treaty 3 territory. I'll introduce the panel members. I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing. Gail Anderson is coming to us via Skype. And Robert Belinky is to my left. The assessment department today will be handled by Matthew Harling. And our administrative personnel today is Jawinder Kumar. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg Board of Revision YouTube channel for your hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute the YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revisions is requested have been described in each application. We will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board orders. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 2, 3, 6, and 8 on our docket today. Mr. Kumar, could you please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony if the applicant can come forward and have it at the table with us?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
You can just right here. That second chair would be just fine. Is that one good part of it?
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Harling.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Madam Applicant, please stand up. State your full name. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. You can please sit.
Okay. There's only 2 files on this one, correct? When you are ready, Mr. Assessor.
Thanks, Chairman. The file number is 22-3812. The roll number is 14002656000. The address is 76 Dufferin Avenue. And the 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $416,000. I've had some time to review the property. I do have a recommendation, so I'm not sure if it'll be accepted or not, but I believe I'm making an adjustment to the overall rent. I believe the rent what we were applying for this property is high, looking at some further comparable information. So I'm going to be recommending a reduction from the value from 416 to 350,000, and so that is my recommendation.
Danielle, were you aware that he was going to bring it down to the 350 mark, or?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that, or you want to go for?
Well, sorry. Actually, Matthew and I spoke, and he suggested that it would be a good idea if I showed up here. I don't know. I think it's extremely high.
At 350?
At 350.
Okay, so why don't we hear his information, and you can give us your information after on why you think it's extremely high. Okay? Neil, should we continue on, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if you look at the bottom page of my brief, you'll see some property description information. The actual year built is in 1961, which would be the same as the effective year built. The wall heights are 16 feet. The land area is 7,363 square feet, with a leasable area of 6,109 square feet, which gives us a land plan area of 1.13. So if we go to page 2 of my brief, we'll just see the request for income information was provided. There are no recent sales on the property, and there are no subject leases in place. So going to page 3 of my brief, which is some of my rent comparables. These comparables would be more based on my initial rent I was applying, would be more applicable. So since I'm making an adjustment on the rent going forward, I believe these comparables would be more superior. So after I had a chance to look at some other comparables, so I'm not really relying on these comparables, but I'll just quickly go through them. So the lease start dates range from 2016 to 2019. The lease terms range from 3 to 6 years. The leased areas range from 1,675 square feet to 6,946 square feet. Wall heights range from 13 feet to 16 feet. The effective year built range from 1959 to 1965. And the rents range from 550 to 681. So if we go to page 4 of my brief, this is my initial workup. As I stated, I'm still going to stick with the 350,000 I've recommended, which is based on adjusting the model rent from the initial blended model rent would have been $5.57 a square foot, but I'm adjusting that to $4.73. So I think that's more of appropriate rent. So that's why that's what my recommendation was based on. So I apologize, I don't have I'll just give you the numbers of everything because I have the revised numbers I have. So so the potential rent would actually be 28,866. We are allowing 6.6.
28,000 what?
Sorry, 20,886.
20,826.
Yeah, 28,886. Yeah. And then we're allowing 6.5% for vacancy, which would be the same which would be 1,878, which gives us an effective net rent or effective gross income, of 27,008. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses, as well as $3.85 a square foot to cost the cover of shortfall, which gives us an overall NOI of 24,669. And we are applying a model cap rate of 7.05%, which gives us the revised value of 350. Now, if we go to page 5 of my brief, this is just another income value summary. Again, this is based on the old value. If we go to page 6 of my brief, just see some information regarding cap rates. We are applying a 7.05% cap rate. And if you look into the industrial section for cap rates, and my cap rate evidence just shows that 7%, I believe, would be supported by the markets such as Colliers, CRV, Cushman & Wakefield. So I don't believe cap rates an issue. And it falls within the typical range of cap rates we see within the city for properties. If you go to page 7 of my brief, it's just some municipal assessment act reserved information. Now if we go to page 8, you'll just see a subject map of the subject property, and where its relation to is on Dufferin Avenue, and you'll see the adjacent street to Arlington Street, where it's in relation to Arlington Street as well. Page 9 of my brief, you'll just see a photo of the subject. So at the top, that's just a front view of the property. And then page 9 is just kind of more of an angled view to just show the whole building. If you go to page 10 of my brief, you'll just see another angle of the subject property from the side. And the top of page 10, or bottom of page 10, apologize. So you'll see the parcel boundary or the outline of the subject. If we go to page 11, just some further photos, just from different angles, just kind of show the property and its size in relation to the parcel of land it sits on. And in page 12 of my brief, you'll just see another photo, and at the bottom, you'll see the parcel boundary. That number 332 is incorrect. I apologize. That was a previous assessment cycle. I just put the wrong number in there by accident, so it should be 416. And then page 13 is just the income expense manner information that was provided. So they were the property owner did comply with the income information. So that is my presentation. Thank you.
That's it. Do you have any questions for Daniel? Daniel, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Do I?
Yeah.
I have one. Wow. Matthew, how old are these photos?
These are from I was able to obtain from Google Street View. I'm pretty sure they're at least from 2021. I'm pretty sure. I can double check. Let me just quickly check. I got Google Maps here, so I can
Let him pull it up and see.
I want to make sure I have the right dates. I don't want to give the wrong information. These are as of, I believe actually, these are as of 2019. So these would be slightly older photos. So
Maybe what?
these would be as of June. From Google Images would be June 2019.
Oh, I'm sorry. Call you later. How do I shut it off?
Why is calling?
Nope. Call you back. How do you hang up? There you go.
That's 2019?
Yeah, like I said, I got these from Google Street Image Views, so that's the most recent date they have on there. So, yeah, I mean, if they look different than that, I wasn't able to go out there and take more recent photos, unfortunately. So, I'm not sure if it might be like you obviously know better information of how it currently looks. So, yeah, so
You can give us that during your presentation, Paul. Do you have any other questions of the assessor?
Questions. No, other than I don't know how this all works.
Well, right now you can ask him questions
And can I
on
ask
his
a question?
presentation. And after that, you'll be presenting to us your information to show why you think this value is wrong. Do you follow me?
Okay.
We're going to just ask him some questions right now. Robert, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, Gail, do you have any questions?
I'm wondering, Matthew, did you inspect the property, or when was the last time the property had an on-site inspection?
yeah, no, I unfortunately I wasn't able to get a chance to inspect the property. Ms. Pond did provide me some photos though of the building, recent photos, so that was helpful, and that kind of helped me in determining the value of the wreck. So, and it's been a few years definitely since we inspected it. Ideally, I won't disagree with you. I would have liked to inspect it, but time constraints make it kind of difficult, unfortunately. So.
Okay, so the photos that were provided were both interior and exterior?
They were interior photos I was provided. So this was after the evidence was submitted, so I didn't get a chance. I would have put them otherwise in the brief, but it was after the fact when I was doing some more research on the property. So, and speaking to Ms. Pond. So.
Okay, and the return that's included with your presentation, the applicant's return, it includes expenses only. So, am I to assume it's owner occupied? Is that accurate?
Yes, as far as I'm able to information, it's owner occupied as far as I know. Yes, at this point.
Okay. And the other comparables then that you have utilized for your new value, reducing the rent value, you looked at.
Yeah, I looked for the comparables because, as I said, I feel like the comparables I provided were definitely would be superior to the subject. So I felt they were definitely high, and it would be the best comparisons of rent for the subject. So.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew. Those are all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Matthew, what would you have used for your comparables to come up with the $4 and?
Again, just trying to look at properties. These are like similar in terms of size and wall height and age. Ideally, if we can find location too, would be ideal. But there's unfortunately not a lot of rent comparables in the Dufferin area. Most of the properties there are owner-occupied properties. So I would just kind of try to look at maybe slightly older properties. for the most part, honestly. So to kind of, be more comparison. Like I know the property is 1961. Some of my comparables are similar, but the closest ones, if I had to say, were the one in Clifton and Wall Street would have been the closest in terms of location wise. But the McPhillips or Sanford and would be more or less on St. James. So I feel like that Dufferin wouldn't be as superior, or St. James would be superior to Dufferin. So
On the cap rate, you went at 7.05, I do believe.
that's correct.
Looking at the industrial, it's got a high of 745. Would that be the seven that you're using in your 80 percentile? But there's still some that are higher in that area, are there not?
Correct. Yes. Like it really depends on the property itself. Like this is just kind of a range. These fall within the 20th to 80th percentile. So properties that would be, let's say, in the 90th to 100th, those would be kind of outliers. Ones with way much higher cap rates, or in the case of let's say 10% and lower, that would be more of a lower cap rate. But that would be reserved for more newer, better properties. This would be kind of somewhere in the middle there. So
Looking at the picture, is that a derelict building next door with the roof collapsed, or?
I believe, yeah, the adjacent property there. Yes. Again, this is from 2019. So unfortunately, I don't know if the roof has been repaired for the adjacent property at this time, but obviously it's just, you're right. It's very tight to the subject. I won't dispute that. Yeah. So, but
Did you visit the site?
I actually drove by it recently, but I didn't actually inspect it. No, because I wasn't able to get a time to get in there. So
You don't know what the condition is on the interior?
I was, as I said to, I actually received a couple of photos from Ms. Pond, so I did get an idea of kind of just a couple of pictures of what it looks like in there. And yes, it's definitely not a great building. I won't disagree. It's not like a new building by any means. So
We don't have those photos yet. We might get them presented.
yeah, these were replied after I submitted the evidence. Otherwise, I'm sure we could have put it in there. But yeah, exactly. So,
But 7.45 could still be low on that if the building's in rough condition. Is that not correct?
yeah, like I said, that those are the cap rate ranges that were provided by some of the published rates by other property owners, by Colliers, Cushman, Wakefield, and CRB. So yeah, it is a range of cap rates. Yeah. So I mean, it can vary, obviously. Yeah. So
Do you think Colliers and CBR and Cushman would actually work on cap rates on these older buildings like this when they're?
Well, I mean, as far as from the information I find, like they're looking at cap rates as a whole. So obviously, it's going to be, when you look at higher cap rates, it's tough to kind of put an exact cap rate percentage on it. But I get it. As far as I'm concerned, they look at the market as a whole, obviously. But this is where typically cap rates for CE are falling. So, but as I understood, that there are outliers where older properties would be reserved for a higher cap rates and such. So,
And the same thing with the rent. I mean, you're coming in at 473. If it's in rougher shape, it would have less rent, would it not?
correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If it's got a lower, the building would be not as superior. You're right. People are willing to pay less rent to rent that space than a newer building, for example. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on and see what Daniel has to say about the building. Daniel, if you can bring forward your information, please.
What do I have to say about the building? The building next door is still in that shape. I was just up on the roof. It's still in that shape. Our building is not ideal. The property in the areas is mostly vacant. There's a building here, a building there. But what I've given you guys is basically there's a lot of vacancies in that area, which doesn't enhance our building whatsoever. The other thing that I'm wondering about is the city of Winnipeg has proposed to do some construction on the Arlington Bridge. And we've never been provided any other information other than what's on the website. And I've seen a plan of it. It goes beyond Dufferin. I don't know if it's going to be put into place or it's not being put into place, but if it does, it kind of blocks Dufferin off there and will change the property. The other thing I have to say is we are not in an ideal place to have a business. It's not. We're in the process of packing it up and moving it out, moving stuff out. I mean, it was, it's in a state at the moment. I had a fella come by to appraise the building, to give me a value to sell it. And he said to me, he highly recommended that I speak with you people about it because it was way taxed, way over, in order to get a proper what do you want to say, a value on the building, right? For a resale point of view. He says you want to bring the taxes down before putting it. And Collier did look at that building some time ago, and they had inconclusive, because I had two buildings, and they gave us a report on one, but it was inconclusive on that one. I think they kind of looked at it and said the same thing, to be honest. Because I do have the report on the first building. There was two buildings. And what else do I have to say? Oh, as Matthew knows, I kind of got messed around on my last year's, I did this last year. We went through this whole process last year on the June call. And when I go to pay for my fuel on the assessment, it is for the next year. And when I went to pay my taxes, it was not reduced.
What had they done with it at that time?
I don't know, Matthew. It's kind of like there's nobody to talk to. You go to the cashier to pay. There's nobody to talk to. I didn't realize, I don't know what happened, to be honest.
Did you not get a letter?
I did get a letter.
That should have explained to you what they had done.
Yes, they said that they're penalizing me or something. I don't know. Maybe I should look at it better, but for some reason or another, and I moved it to this next year, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm paying for last year to talk about that year's assessment, not a year down the road. So Matthew, we kind of talked about it, so maybe you want to bring that up.
It depends what the subject was when the appeal went through. Had you not submitted the paperwork for a few years, or?
There's nothing to submit. They weren't sending the paperwork to the proper place. When I sent in my appeal, I gave them my address, I gave them my information, I gave my administration papers, I've given everything. And they don't send anything to the right address, so sending it back is not something I was able to do. I didn't get it.
I shouldn't be asking you questions till you're finished. I'll wait till you're finished.
That's fair. I do have it here. So yeah, this is the last one. So maybe
we might be able to figure out
answer that.
when you're done. We'll ask you some questions on that and yourself.
Okay.
Robert, do you have any questions?
I'm just curious, there was no appraisal value specified by people that looked at your building. Did they say any particular value that it could sell for?
The fellow that I spoke to about it, he said that he suggested that I contact City of Winnipeg and get back to him. I have since gotten back to him, and I don't believe he's in Regent anymore. He's probably retired. I had another agent in there who is a sales agent. He never gave me anything in writing. So
So there's no, say, hearsay value
there's no hearsay value.
pinpointing to
No,
indicate.
we've had a reduction in the taxes, and then now they've just skyrocketed, and it makes absolutely no sense to me at all, because it's not been property values, you know, that the interest rate and everything are going down now. They went up for a very short period of time, but the small businesses are getting pushed out of business. We all know this to be a fact.
The recommendation by the assessor at 350,000, you've indicated that the appellant still feels that that value is too high. Is there any kind of counter number that you could provide that would fall in line with what you would consider to be reasonable?
I would consider reasonable, perhaps 290. You may be able, like, I don't know what, from what I've looked around and what I see, I'd be lucky to get that. It's not a desirable neighborhood. There's graffiti, my son deals with, we've had been broken into. My son has dealt with people in the back lane. You can't leave the door open, you can't. I mean, I pulled into the back lane one day, and there's people in the bush, in the derelict property, you say, having intercourse, for heaven's sakes. It's disgusting, that neighborhood. The amount of garbage that gets dumped in that back lane is unbelievable. And it sits there and sits there and sits there because nobody's going to, we've called the city of Winnipeg and they don't come pick it up, and they say that they didn't, I don't know, we don't have garbage picked up at our place, so we don't put our garbage out there. The households in the neighborhood, as it's a residential area, they dump their stuff there. It's disgusting. One day I came there, my son, there was a bunch of pallets stacked up, I guess, from the other business. And I thought, oh, I should grab those because they could get something. They're sitting in the back lane, right? And my son says, maybe we'll grab them tomorrow. And I said, okay. So the next morning he sends me a photo. They're smoking. They're up against the phone pole or the hydro pole, and it's on fire, still smoking. Had he not got there, you know what I'm saying? It's not a desirable neighborhood.
Have you had communication with the assessor regarding the $350,000 recommendation on his part? Is there any other factors that may or may not have been considered by him, in your opinion?
I'm not sure. I can see that you guys go through the process of looking at the real estate value, like as in renting and all that kind of thing. I don't think it's rentable. We're just trying to pack it up and get out of there.
Okay, thank you.
Gail, any questions?
Just in regards to the proposal that you are indicating, 290,000, and you indicated that you looked in the market as to what was for sale. So what properties did you look at?
Well, I'm just kind of looking at my comparables are properties in the neighborhood. I'm not seeing, there's a lot of vacancies in the neighborhood. Do I want to stay in that neighborhood? It's not desirable to stay there. I'd like to get out of there. It's just packed up around with stuff and move on. Basically.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, at this time, is the building vacant yet, or are you operating a business out of there?
It's not vacant.
It's not, you're operating a business out of there at this time.
Yeah.
Now, the assessor said you had supplied him with some pictures, but I don't see any pictures of the interior here on your presentation.
Oh, yeah. The interior pictures don't show up so well. I don't have a color photo. I don't have color photo, like, so I texted them to him.
So can you explain to me what the inside is like, the condition?
The condition of it is, I'm trying to think of what the year he bought that building. It's not in very good condition, it's in poor condition. It's, I believe there's asbestos in there. You know, the 9x9 house. There's mold and mildew in there. The floor is starting to cave in one area, I'm not sure why.
Is that a cement floor or is that?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We're maintaining heat in there. The overhead is extremely high for the hydro. Just to keep it warm. Like, it's not warm, but just basically.
Your office space up front?
No,
No, it's all storage.
it's all storage. At one time, it was an acceptable place, but not any longer. It's just been, there's nobody renting there.
I see there was two entrances to the front, correct? At one time?
Yeah.
So is that two separate spaces?
No, no. No. It was occupied at one time, like commercial kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. But that was, my gosh, years ago.
Did you find the, you didn't supply us with the appeal that you had last year either. You said that you had appealed and you had won the appeal, or they'd given you a different number, or you spoke to it, but you never gave us the number that they'd come up with last year. Or the reasons why they came up with that number.
This is it here.
Or revision order.
It's so confusing. The request of the assessor for application of 53, like, I don't even know what's on it. Being allowed, it was allowed.
Yeah.
53 and 54 is allowed. Rendering its decision of the panel, place burden of proof on applicant. The following version of section 53(3)(b). That kind of contradicts what that one says.
Well, what they had done is they put you had to supply the proof on why it was worth less than what the city was saying at that time. They found a reason for you to have to prove your number.
Oh.
Continue.
Then it says that 2022 realty assessment be changed and direct the following revision of assessed value of subject property by decreasing the total 2022 realty assessment to bring in line with market value.
What did they say the market value was?
The original was at 332 and revised to 301. Decision is based on the net operating income presented by the assessment taxation capitalization rate of 8.5 and to better reflect physical condition and subject property as presented by the applicant.
Matthew, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Has the cap rates gone down since last year?
We've seen most cap rates we've actually seen compress. But as I said, though, like I said, there are outlier properties where cap rates will be higher, you know, in older buildings and such. So we've seen cap rates overall come down, but like I said, there are outliers of cap rates that would have gone, you know, would go up, you know, if they're older and, you know, derelict type buildings. So
You think this one falls into that older category for a higher cap rate?
I mean, being 1961, 16 feet, you know, I mean, it's definitely not a newer building by any means, you know, and it's, you know, it's definitely its location on Dufferin, you know, I won't dispute it's not like the most ideal location, obviously. So, yeah, you know, you could, you know, it's really hard to put an exact number. I don't have an exact number cap rate. Again, we've used our model cap rate. So, and as I've shown, kind of it falls within the range of what we're seeing. But as I said, there are outliers in cap rates, whether they be lower or higher. So.
What was the penalty for last year?
There was an issue. It was there was a non-compliance argument. So
Okay.
what happened was, it was in 2022 appeal, and the board essentially granted the non-compliance. So since it was a 2022 appeal, which was in the last assessment, the last year in that reassessment cycle, they can't really, even though they reduce the value, they can't. There's no way to defer it to the next year because that's the final year in the assessment cycle. So we basically are just doing what the board told us in the order. So
That was carried over to this year, was it not?
well, no, 2023 would be a brand new reassessment cycle, so that wouldn't carry to that. So
why was that penalized for that year? I don't understand. I don't.
You got the value. That, when was the appeal? 2022?
2022, correct?
Huh? 2022 was the appeal year?
Yes.
So they carried over, and you said it doesn't carry to 2023?
Well, 2023 is a brand new reassessment cycle. So no, you can't carry over that because like the 2020, 2021, 2022 were the 3 years that were on that previous reassessment cycle. So those are the only 3 years it could affect. So, but since it was appealed in 2022, that's the reason. So it's a very unique situation. I've never came across a situation like this. So
Because you've got an order that was passed by the board, and then you're coming back with a higher number than the board recommended for it to be, correct?
based on the decision the board made with the non-compliance, though. So if you understand what I mean, I guess, or
Yeah, well, they didn't get to use that new value in 2022. And now you're coming back at 416.
again, yeah, the initial, yes, yeah, that's the initial value. But as I stated, obviously I'm coming down from that. But yes, that's
Then you went to 350. And that's using the 450 rent. And that would be if it was a rentable space, correct? If this is a vacant property, would you be looking at land value or?
you know, if the building had no worth whatsoever, we would look at that. But I don't think we would in this case look at just the land value. So if the building was like not usable, period, even for storage, then that might be something we'd look at if it had to be demolished, for example. So, but I don't dispute this building's not in great condition, but you know, I don't know. Is the building still usable? I guess though, Ms. Pond, in its current state, like for even storage, I guess, and such though. Or
That's where I'm going to come with my next questions to you.
Okay.
Is on that roof in the pictures that are supplied by the city. Is that roof leaking around the middle? Have you had any estimates to repair that roof, or you're not planning on?
I have up to estimates. They're around 75,000.
The windows, are you planning on replacing those? Because there's a bunch of them broken. Or have they been replaced already?
No, they haven't been replaced because we just picked up broken.
And the one door's been,
It has been replaced, but it keeps getting broken, now gets stolen.
and that one door, you've got plywood over it. I guess it got broken as well.
We have a cage over it now.
Yeah.
And a slot for the mailbox.
Is there a side, on the side of the parking lot?
There's a side door,
Yeah.
yes, there's a side door there, and that got broken into, and we've got that reinforced from, I don't know if we did it on the inside or the outside. The outside looks like. That door is shut off, yeah.
Now, he's got this listed as 16 feet. That what you have on the building, a 16-foot ceiling throughout? That's the interior, correct, Matthew?
That would be correct, yes. As I said, though, previously, we haven't inspected the property recently, but I don't, as far as I know, I don't think the wall has changed. So, but that's what we have to file since we've had this building on a roll, so.
So what is your question, Brian?
The ceiling height inside, is it 16 feet, the actual height?
I would say so.
Okay. Matthew, looking at that picture, you can see where the roof is falling apart on it. Does that devalue that possibility on the rent and the cap rate?
I mean, the cap rate is like, it's not just one item, but yeah, like, I mean, we're looking at condition, you know, the building would definitely be another factor that would drive cap rate, yes, so.
Okay, I've got no further questions. If there's anything in closing, Matthew?
No, I think I'm good, thank you.
And Danielle, anything in closing to wrap up?
No.
No? Okay, thank you very much. We are going, all that is included, and you'll be hearing from us on supplement.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
you have a great day.
Well, I do kind of have just one thing.
What's that?
What happened to the last year's taxes? I still don't understand.
Last year's you
How come
were,
it didn't get reduced?
because you were penalized for that year
For what reason?
because you hadn't supplied information on the building, your heating, the
But I
costs.
didn't get it. And, you know, you guys can look back in your records, your documents. I have been to here a few times, even several years ago. And I've provided my letters of administration, I've provided my address, and the mail does not come to me. So I don't understand how it is fair that I am not being penalized for something I never received.
It seems like you did receive it because you did send it in the last time.
Well, yeah, because we just talked about it.
Yeah. Because you, on his sheet, he's got you that you had sent it in on here.
In 21.
Yeah, and I can't deal with the past, but
So why after in 21, when I did submit it, did I get refused?
I don't know what information you provided at the hearing, so I can't say anything about that.
Yeah.
But you hadn't supplied it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Stay on top
So
of
I
it.
wanted to pay for those taxes and it was not reduced.
And
I don't get it.
leave it with us,
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
and we'll see what we can do.
The applicant for the next item is not here yet, Mr. Chair, and.
We're gonna move the next item down to the bottom for now.
Yeah, Mr. Diamond, you can just come up. State your full name. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Just give me 1 minute to bring it up, please. We're dealing with number 6, correct?
So
Item 6, 740 Logan is the one we're dealing with for my colleagues, in case you're wondering. Item 6, 740 Logan. We've got all kinds of information here. Matthew, when you are ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-3710. The roll number is 1308-238-2000. The address is 740 Logan Avenue, and the owner is Davian Construction Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $971,000. I do actually have a recommendation to put forth. After speaking actually with Mr. Reimer, he provided me some information. When I was initially creating the brief, there was some space in the building that's basement space, and I didn't realize that was included in the leasable area initially. So that being said, I've further looked at it because the basement space I don't think is great space. So I am making an adjustment to the overall rent, which would from basically we're using a model rent of 577, so I'm recommending using a rent overall 474 for a revised value of $788,000.
788,000.
88. Correct.
That's your rec. Had you talked about?
I wasn't aware of that, but I'd like to proceed.
You'd like to proceed? We will proceed, Matthew.
Again, I will continue with that value going forth, but yeah, I'll continue. I'll go forward. So if you look at the bottom of my brief under the property description, you'll see the actual years built range from 1914 to 1950, with an effective overall built of 1946. The wall heights range from 11 feet to 19 feet. The land area is 12,905 square feet, with a leasable area of 17,725 square feet. And out of that 17,725 square feet, 6,300 square feet of is basement space. And we have a land to plant area of 1.56. So if you go to page, I apologize, some of my page numbers didn't show up, so I'll just have to kind of describe the information as I go along. I'll try to go make sure we're going forward. So the following page, request for income information has been received. There are no recent sales on the subject, and there are no leases in place. If we go to the following page, these are just some of my rent comparables. Now, these rent comparables would have been initially for the overall value I previously applied. I feel like a lot of these are maybe superior, but I'll go through them anyway. So the lease start dates for my term leases are 2015 to 2020. Lease years range from 3 to 7 years. The leasable areas range from 10,000 square feet to 21,000 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 feet to 16 feet. The effective year builds range from 1956 to 1965. And the rents range from net rents range from 575 to 878. If we go to the following page of my brief, you'll just see the income workup. Now this is the initial workup based on our model rent. As I said, I'm still going to follow with the rec I provided going forward, but so again, we're using $5.77 overall rent, which I've adjusted to $4.74. So this would give us a revised potential rent of $83,997. We're allowing 6.5% for vacancy, which gives an effective gross income of $78,537. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses, as well as $3.85 a square foot to cost the cover of shortfall, which gives us an overall net operating income of $71,746, or revised. And we're applying a 9.10% cap rate, which gives us an estimated revised market value of $788,000. If we go to the following page of my brief, this is just another income value summary of the previous value. Now if we go to the following page, the cap rate information, Now this is a 9.10% cap rate. So as I was saying before, Mr. Chair, with the previous property, like this kind of falls outside of the typical cap rates we're seeing. So it's kind of, you can say it's an outlier. It doesn't fall within the typical 20th to 80th percentile of cap rates we see for properties. It would be based on its age and size, location, those kind of factors. So that's why we're applying a higher cap rate. So like I said, it doesn't really fall within the range, but we're acknowledging that the age of the building, and that's those factors. That's why we're applying a higher cap rate. So to go to the following page, just some municipal assessment act excerpt information. And if we go to the following page, you'll see the subject property map of where the property is located on Logan Street, and just some of the cross streets that are nearby and where it's situated. If we go to the following page, you'll see some subject photos of the subject. So this is the front at the top of the page. And if you go to the bottom, you'll just see another angled photo of the subject. If we go to the following page, you'll just see another view of the property from the side. And at the bottom, you'll just kind of see the parcel outline and the overall building. We go to the next page, just another photo of the subject, just from the top view, just to kind of show the overall parcel outline of the subject. The following page after that, just another photo, just from a different angle, just to kind of show the building. And then the following page after that, you'll just see again the parcel outline and the current assessed value. And then the following page is just the income and expense mailer information. This is fully owner occupied property. They were compliant with their mailer. And if we just go to the following last page, it's just some outside source information regarding cap rates and rents and what we're seeing in the market. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Harling, first of all, thank you very much for reviewing the property, taking the time and making the recommendation. Much appreciated. Understanding this somewhat different opinion, still, we're certainly much closer than we were at the outset here. Now I want to make sure I wrote this down correctly. So the revised, based on the, and I'll proceed on the assumption of the 788,000. Was it a potential market income of 83,797?
Oh, sorry. Like for the revised, it's actually
for the revised. Yeah.
Oh, for the are we talking about the net income or sorry?
No, not the NOI. The potential.
Oh, potential. Oh, yeah, 83,997.
997. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just briefly, and you've alluded to it. So, if we go then to your page 4, please. Yep. Which is that's the original valuation. So I gather then the review that you undertook, the original leasable area that the department had for the property was 17,725, but the reduced potential rent was to recognize the 6,300 square feet of that was basement area, correct?
Correct. Yes. I like I said, I apologize. Like since we don't have it broken down like that in my workup, which I unfortunately can't provide because I only have a hard copy of it, but I broke it down into 3 areas. I broke it down into 11,425 square feet, which is the main floor. And then I actually broke it further down to the 6,300. I further broke it down because the 825 square feet, which you had mentioned to me, is actually cold storage or would be unheated space. So that 6,300 has been broken down into 2 smaller areas. So 5,475 would be the heated space. I used a $3 rent on that one. And then the 825, I used a $2 rent for that unheated space. And then you blend all those rents together, and that's how I came with the value.
And so, Mr. Harling, I'm going to apologize to you because in my reference, and Mr. Chairman, this is in the context of discussions we had prior to the hearing. And Mr. Harling, the 825 square feet is actually on the main floor. It's not.
Oh, okay. Well,
that was one of my questions. And so I apologize to you because it sounds like I miscommunicated to you. So if I could then ask the board members, and if I could ask you initially to turn, let's go to your page 11.
I apologize. Yeah, the numbers aren't there.
So the page 11 is the overhead map. Let me know when you get there.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. So what we've got is the property, the north end of the property is fronting on Logan. Now, and this was the area I'd mentioned, the 825 square feet. That, Mr. Harling, and I'm acknowledging you weren't aware of this, but the building, so at the very south end of the building, you can see running east-west, there's an addition that's clearly, that runs to basically the west property line. You weren't aware then that that property, which is on grade, was unheated storage, correct?
I was not aware, no, correct.
Okay. So I'm not going to belabor that now. And I believe I know the answer, Mr. Harling. You haven't had a chance to inspect the property, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And I believe, Mr. Harling, the rental comparables were, you're acknowledging that this subject, based on what you now know, the rent comparables would be, all things being considered, would be superior to the subject, correct?
I guess the only comparable I would, maybe the one on Aaron Street, as far as I know, I think it would be somewhat comparable, but again, it's, slightly newer than the subject being 46. So, but, the most part, yes, I don't disagree. Yeah, these would be superior. So.
And to be clear, none of the rent comparables, as far as you're aware, none of the rent comparables have any basement space nor any unheated storage space, correct?
That is, yeah, to my knowledge, no, correct.
Okay. Now, the only other sort of point under examination, the department's applied the 3% non-recoverable allowance, and that, of course, that's the department's views to the unrecoverable expense allowances in each and every case for all properties, correct?
Yeah, for industrial properties, correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, those are my questions. Thank you.
Gail, any questions?
No, I have no questions at this time. They've been answered. Thank you.
Robert, I mean.
No questions.
And I'm good at this time. Can you move on with your presentation?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if I could start then on page 8 of our submission, which is the overhead. So just to be clear, here's the situation. Mr. Harling reached out to us and we began the discussion concerning the subject, and an inspection was conducted after the submission of the original materials. I inspected the property where we identified both the 6,300 square feet of basement space, which actually is in the assessor's brief as well, and in our brief. And then, so I knew about that space, but what I hadn't realized is on page 8, again, on the bottom aerial photograph, that building that runs, it's at the south property line, it's running east-west, and you can see the different roof lines there. That's the 1950 edition of 825 square feet. That is the unheated storage. So it's got no insulation, it's got basically a shell, concrete floor, but it's unheated storage. So in that context, if you then turn, please, to page 13. So on page 13, there's a chart of the rent comparables, and recall, Mr. Chairman, this is a property that was built. It's an old, by any definition, not an investment grade property. It's the 2/3 of the property has a wall height of 14 feet. 1/3 has 19 feet for the obviously the above grade stuff. Significant area, basement area of 6,300 feet, and now, as we know, the 825 square feet of unheated storage space. So when considering all of that, and when I looked at the rent comparables for, as shown on the chart there, it starts with, and actually comparable number 1 on Aaron Street is the same one that Mr. Harling and I used, the exact same one, but then I have some other ones for older industrial type buildings with wall heights ranging between 12 and 24 feet, with rents ranging from $3.40 a foot up to $7 a foot. So in my, just roughly halfway down on that page, what I was suggesting this afternoon is, and again, I've had a chance to go through the entire property, and I'll be blunt, in my respectful opinion, the 6,300 feet of basement area, $1 a square foot is optimistic. There is virtually no one that would provide any rental income for that basement area, but I've nonetheless, because it's there, I've applied a notional rate, and I've used $5.50 a square foot for all the area above grade. At that time, not realizing that 825 feet was also unheated storage, but I'm not changing my request. So I do, though, certainly in all the circumstances, suggest that the 69,138 stands to reason given the very challenged nature of this asset and given the rental comparables for the older industrial space. So then there's one remaining issue is the non-recoverable expenses. I do not propose to go through that in a lot of detail. The board members, Mr. Harling, you've heard it before. From our perspective, the 5% is very justifiable. It's consistent with the non-recoverable expenses that typically come up for properties with prudent management. So I'm going to leave the request at 5% as it stands. Here's the thing. So the capitalization rate in this case is 9.1%. When I look at the property and I look at what's physically there, the land to building ratio of quite a bit less than 2 to 1, the massive amount of basement space, the low wall heights, and the overall quality. The improvements on the site were constructed between 1914 and 1950, and it shows. It is by any standard completely obsolete. But the department has also applied a 9.1% cap rate, and that's consistent with our capitalization rate evidence for non-investment grade properties that are suggesting this is. In the context of the 9.1% cap rate, I will simply say this: if the board were inclined to accept the department's 3% overall non-recoverable, along with the 9.1% cap rate, and the rental potential net rent based on the nature of the asset that we're applying, that's something I would be very comfortable with, so I'm going to leave it at that. So then on page 15, you can see there we've applied the 550 rate, which I believe is very reasonable, if not optimistic, for that 11,425 above grade, $1 a square foot for the basement area, notwithstanding that we're suggesting it has very, very marginal value, if any, as far as rental value. We've applied the 5% non-recoverable. Again, if the board were inclined to go with the 3% and the 9.1 cap rate in this case, that's something that certainly, again, we'd be very comfortable with. So our value is coming in at 612,000, and we request the assessment be reduced accordingly. Thank you.
Gail, do you have any questions? Sorry, we got to go to the assessor first.
Oh, sorry.
I'm skipping out on you, Matthew.
Okay, yeah. I guess, unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get a chance to inspect it. I know you have. So just regarding the basement space, I guess then. So is the basement space just used for storage? I'm assuming, I guess, or
there's a chunk of it that is mechanical, and the rest of it is being used as storage because it's there. It has, at best, it has that use only. And the other thing to understand, Mr. Harling, is of course, there's no elevator in the building, and in order to move the goods into the basement, it involves going through reasonably narrow hallways and narrow stairwells to get materials to the basement. So it's not particularly functional even for storage, but that's the use to which it's been put. I'm imagining, based on what I saw, that the materials that are down there have been there for many, many years and not moved.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Gail, now it's your turn. I'm sorry.
Okay, just in regards to the property, so when were you in the property to see it?
About a week and a half ago.
Okay, and there is no elevator in this property, that's what you said? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So have there been improvements undertaken to this property at all? I know that you mentioned that the last, it was upgraded to the 1950s, but there hasn't been any investments in it?
No, it hasn't been upgraded to the 1950s. There was a 1950 addition, which is the bare unheated storage. That's that building that segment of the building at the south end of the property line. The original warehouse, or warehouses, I should say, it was built in 2 different stages, are pretty much as is the way that they were originally constructed. The office area, there's a 2-story office area. Again, it's stairwell access and such. It very much reflects its age. I'm not going to suggest, as I understand, that nothing's been done to it since 1914, because that's not the case. But it is very, very dated. It's basically some painted paneling on the walls, older carpet. If I were to sort of give you a sense of what the office area looked like to me, it looked like a 1950s vintage office. Certainly, again, and I stress this, by any modern industrial standard, not up to snuff and obsolete closest to the warehouse. And certainly the office area would require significant sums in order to bring it up to anything resembling a modern standard.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Robert,
I have no questions at this time.
where's that 825 square feet you were talking about that's unheated?
Mr. Chairman, if you
No,
could.
like in your presentation, because you've got.
Oh, no, this is the thing. I inspected the property after the submission, and I wasn't aware of it at the time. So I haven't broken it out. And like I said, I'm not changing my $550 a square foot rate. Had I known that, there would have been a further breakdown of the above grade space, but I'm not suggesting it would be after the filing deadline. I'm not going to do that. So I'm keeping the 550 based on the assumption at that time that it was all fully, heated and warehouse office space.
Because that would have been subtracted off the 11.25.
It would have had I realized it, yes, indeed.
And that would have been about a $2 rate, probably.
Sure, is that, yes.
Yeah.
But again, I stress, this came up after the fact, and so I believe the 550 overall for the above grade space is very reasonable. The basement area, I believe the dollar is off.
Averaging it out between the two. Okay. I've got no further questions. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you all very much. And again, thank you, Mr. Harlan, for your time.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Is Fairfield on
Yes, they are on Zoom.
what?
They are on Zoom, Mr. Chair.
Let's move to 95 Skirfield, which is item number 8. Bring them in.
Hello, Mr. Park.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, I'm gonna swear you in. Please state your full name.
Jay Park.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Matthew, when you are ready,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
95 Skirfield Boulevard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22646. The applicant is Jade Park. The roll number is 0306511260. The address is 95 Skirfield Boulevard. And the 2023 assessed value based on the reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,849,000. I guess there is a preliminary issue with for non-compliance, so would you like me to go through that, I guess, first then, Mr. Chairman? Or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Issue first.
Okay. Go to page 13 of my brief. So this is the initial mailer, the certified mailer we had sent out.
Page are you going to?
Oh, sorry, page 13.
13?
13, yeah. So it's page 13. So we sent out an initial mailer in May 1st, of the year. And then we sent out a certified mailer. So this is the certified mailer, the secondary mailer we sent out. So which is being sent to the property address that we have in file. So if you look on page 13, 14, it's the blank mailer. Page 15, I brief, is just where the actual Canada Post information that we received was. And this continues on page 16. So this is the information that we had sent out. Additionally, if you go to pages 17 through 21, this is additional mailer because we have 2 registered owners on the property. So we sent it to both property owners on the property. Again, this is a certified one that was sent out June 9th, 2021. The mailing address we do have in file is the same address that was on the application. So we're just following with the information we have. So, and the last time we did have a mailer was in 2015. So we haven't had a mailer in a while. So, so that would basically be the information regarding the non-compliance.
Mr. Park, on the non-compliance issue, would you like to present why you did not comply? Are you there, Mr. Park?
Yes, I'm hearing a bunch of noise. I'm hearing two different actually conversations. Conversation actually I had swearing in came about 20 seconds afterwards, after Mr. Harling started speaking. So
Mr. Park, please turn off your YouTube.
pardon me?
Your YouTube is probably turned on.
Oh, give me 1 second, please. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, but that's why you were hearing it across voices.
Yes, I apologize. Yes.
Okay, so would you like them to repeat the non-compliance issue?
Yes, please, if you could. Sorry.
Sure. Oh, I can start over again. Sure. So just go to page 13, my brief. This is the mailer we had sent out initially. So we sent out an initial mailer in May, and then when we don't get a response, we send a certified mailer out, which was sent out on June 9th, and we sent it to 95 Scorefield, which is the address we have in file. That was on the mailer, that was on the application as well. And then if you go to page 15, you'll just see the Canada Post information saying that where we, what they provide us with based on the actual letter we sent, or the actual mailer we sent out. And as I stated, we have 2 registered owners on the roll. So we sent it actually out twice to the other property owner, which was also sent out on June 9th, 2021. And if you go to page 21, you'll see this also the tracking number as well as the information that was delivered by Canada Post saying so we did deliver it. So we did not receive the mailer. And I'm just saying we haven't received a mailer. Last time we received a mailer was in 2015. So we haven't had a mailer in a few years. So.
Was that better, Mr. Park? You heard it?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Are you challenging the non-compliance?
Yes. We haven't received anything. I don't recall. I know that we've been shut down quite a bit during the pandemic. We've run online classes. I know that you had said, Mr. Harling, that there was a certified mail, which would have had to been signed by somebody, correct?
It was sent into, that would have been, it was delivered to the recipient's safe drop location in states here. So this is the information they provided.
So basically, like certified mail, like nobody received it physically? Like somebody didn't sign for it, or it was just delivered into a mailbox?
It was delivered to 95 Scorefield, but we don't have a signature on that because that's what Canada Post gave us, correct? So.
Oh, okay. So yes, like there's no, we haven't received anything. I mean, if we would have actually submitted something. But yeah, I mean, I can ask my wife, who's right near me, if she received anything, but I don't recall anything. When we had a discussion about this, well, I never actually really asked if a mailer, but I know that Mr. Harling, when you actually sent some the email back with some evidence or some documentation, it was there, and I asked my wife, and she really didn't recall receiving anything. So.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess, Mr. Chair, I'll let you make your call on that. So.
We might have some questions for you, Matthew.
Sure.
Neil, do you have any questions of Matthew on this one?
Just to confirm, Matthew, you indicated the address that's on the letter, 95 Scorefield, is the same address that's on the application.
That is correct.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Robert?
No questions.
And you said it went by certified mail?
It said, we sent an initial mailer out initially, and then we sent out a certified one. But as Mr. Park said, we did not have a signature on this particular one, no. So.
Why would there be no signature on a registered mail?
We basically, it says delivered to recipient safe drop location, which is the address we had on file. So, but that's what Canada Post sends us. So we can only kind of go with what they send us. So.
Okay, let's go out for a bit. We're going to take a short recess to look into the matter.
The space, like, was it traditionally an office space initially when you first got it, I guess, or was it like I'm just wondering if you guys had to do any for what you're using it now, was it always kind of the same setup it is now as it was initially when you bought it, I guess, or has it changed over time, I'm assuming?
No, it pretty much was. Just because again, I believe it was they were drilling for pouring the ground and actually testing samples. So it was all warehouse space. I believe 2003 or 2004. I don't recall the exact date. Is when we actually did a bit of an expansion near the back of the building. Yes, so basically that was the only only expansion or any kind of renovations which really had to be done, except just little small things when we moved in.
Okay. No, that's all
So
right.
it's pretty intact from where it was.
Okay, perfect. That's all the questions. Thank you.
Neil, any questions of Mr. Park?
In regards to the property, how long have you owned this property, Mr. Park?
Since 1999.
Okay, since 1999, and
Yes.
I'm wondering if, since 1999, if you've ever had a real estate agent or anything look at your property to indicate what the market value might be if you were ever to sell it?
We have not, because we were never in the market to sell our property. So yes, unfortunately, we don't have those numbers.
Okay, and you fully utilize your property, right, for your business that you operate?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so all the space. Okay, and those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Park, you said there was some office space up front, but it's just minimal, isn't it?
Correct. Yes. There's basically 2 offices that, like I said, I measured out. It's about 640 square feet. Just a working office as well as office to actually bring in clients. And the rest is we have 2 other rooms near the front of the building, which is used for storage. Another one, but it's a utility room basically for the water meter and the hot water tank. And yes, that's pretty much about it. The rest of it is just all open space. Except the 2 washrooms and then the change rooms. The 2 change rooms are at the far end of the building. When we actually did the expansion, they actually put the 2 change rooms there. And then in the approximately 7,000 square foot space, there is one portion which takes up probably about 800 square feet, which is a separate room. But that's again just a couple walls, basically concrete floor with mats on the floor that we use just to kind of partial for storage and partial for taking smaller groups inside.
When you received the information from the city, correct? Did you go over it?
Which information, sir?
The information that he's going to present today, you should have received a copy of it, correct?
Correct, yes, by email.
Did you review that information?
I did. Most of it, I couldn't make heads or tails of it just because, again, I don't know the rental value of property in our area or any area for that matter. I'm not into real estate. I tried to kind of figure it out, but really, yes, I couldn't make heads or tails of anything. I would, I was hoping that I can present the case in terms of what the building is used for. Again, wasn't aware that we couldn't, until today, that we couldn't actually compare comps in terms of the assessed value. So obviously, I don't can't speak upon that. But just looking at it from a layperson's perspective of what the business adjacent to me are doing, it seems quite offset in terms of what the assessed value of 95 square feet is.
And what do you think your value should have been at then?
I would probably say around 1.5, maybe.
And I still haven't seen what the city's saying. So I think you'll want to follow closely when he puts his presentation. I think I'd like to leave it open that I could ask you some more questions after, if that's okay, after I've heard the city's presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think everybody's asked their questions now.
Yes.
Matthew, if you can continue with your presentation.
Thanks, Chairman. So I'll just go down to the bottom of page 1, start with the property description information. So the actual year built of the building range from 1987 to 2002, with an effective year built 1994. The wall heights range from 13 to 14 feet. The land area is 32,206 square feet, with a leasable area of 8,177 square feet and a land to plan area of 3.94. Let's go to page 2 of my brief. We've already spoken about the income information. There have been no recent sales and there are no subject property leases as the property is owner occupied. So go to page 3 of my brief. These are some of my rent comparables. You'll see that they range in age from 1979 to 2005. The ages range from 2019 to 2022. Lease range from 1 to 5 years. The areas range from 3,150 square feet to 7,280 square feet, and the rents range from $15.95 to $22. And the wall heights I didn't put in there, but they range from for the comparables 11 feet to 20 feet. So, now if we go to page 4 of my brief, this is the actual breakdown of the income. So again, we're using a leasable area of 8,177 square feet. We're applying the model rent to 1578, which gives us the potential rent of 129,033. We're allowing 6% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of 121,291. 3% for non-recoverable expenses we're applying, as well as $8 a square foot to cost to cover vacancy and shortfall. This gives us a net operating income of 113,727, and we are applying a model cap rate of 6.15%, which gives us the estimated market value of $1,849,000. Page 5 of my brief, this is just the income value summary breakdown of current assessed value. I go to page 6 of my brief. This is just some cap rate information. Now, we are classifying this particular property in its current state as office. So under the office category, under the suburb A and B would be the most closest cap rates. So typically cap rates for office properties fall within, for the 20th to 8th percentile from the city of Winnipeg properties from 5.6 to 6.9. Now, if we look at some of the other partners, published rates, Colliers, CRB, Cushman Wakefield, so we are at 6.15%. So it does fall within Colliers on the low end. And obviously looking at CRB and Cushman Wakefield, they're having higher cap rates. The reason for the lower cap rate would be due to the fact of the smaller property size being 8,000 square feet and being 1994, as well as the location being on Scurfield. So those would be some of the driving factors of the cap rate being lower in that case. So that is the why. That would be more of the reason for the lower cap rate. Going to page 7 of my brief, it's just some Municipal Assessment Act excerpt information. Going to page 8 of my brief, you'll just see a subject property map. So you'll see where the property is located on Scurfield Boulevard and then Dovercourt. So you'll just kind of see where that's the property is situated. Page 8 of my brief, you'll just see an aerial photo of the subject and where it's in relation to on the parcel of land. Continue to page 9, you'll just see some photos of the subject. The top would be a front photo. And then at page 9, you'll see another photo of the subject just from further away. This continues on page 10. You'll just see an aerial view of the photo of the subject and its size and layout of the building. Now, if we go to page 11, at the top, you'll just see the rear photo of the subject property in the back there with the parking. And page 11 is just another overhead aerial photo. And if we continue to page 12, just another parcel boundary of the subject and the current assessed value. And then the rest of my brief is just the income, is just the mailer information that we have already discussed. So I won't go into that. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Park, do you have any questions of Matthew at this time?
No, sir, I don't.
Not at this time.
No, sir.
Yes, Matthew, the comparables that you provided in your presentation, they're similar type buildings, zoned the same way?
Yes, these would all be zoned the similar zoning. Yes, so yes.
Okay, and are you aware if they have similar type of businesses, similar type of use in them, or?
From like when I was able to check for these ones, yeah, they wouldn't be using, it wouldn't be the same type of business. No, I won't grade it. Like, I mean, yeah, like obviously the subject property being like a kind of a martial arts academy would definitely be more unique. So yeah, no, I would I would agree that they're not the same though. No, they're different uses. So.
Okay, and in regards to the subject property, do you have it noted how many parking spots there are included on that land base?
I apologize. We don't. I don't believe we have. No, we don't have any parking classification. We're not really. We're not really assessing any additional value for the parking. But no, so I don't have the breakdown of the parking lot. So no.
Okay. Those were all my questions then. Thank you very much.
Robert,
No questions.
have you visited the site, Matthew?
I've driven past it, but I have not physically inspected the property. No.
Why do you call it office if it's an actual industrial building?
Well, look, actually, that was kind of one of the things I was looking at too. So if you look at page, for example, in my brief, go to page 11.
Your page 11? Yeah.
Page 11, yeah, my page 11. Now, if you look at the back of the building, this building has no actual loading bay doors or any kind of loading. So pretty much in almost all industrial properties, whether it be a flex warehouse, industrial warehouse, storage warehouse, you're going to see some kind of loading bays. So it's not tradition. It's not really an actual storage warehouse in a sense, because like this particular, and especially on Scurfield, there's a very mixed class of industrial and office type space. A lot of flex warehouses, storage warehouses. So one of the primary reasons for this is we classify this as more as not so much in this storage industrial space because the fact that it's really can't be used in terms of like your typical storage warehouse. Like getting in the back there, I know there's a lot of excess space back there, but getting a truck back there, like a semi or something, would be very difficult. I don't see how you could get it around if you have a hard time. So, I mean, that would be kind of more the inherent reason. And also, I looked at kind of the history of the property previously before the previous owner, the current owner. There was like more of an office use in there from what I could find from the information I could find. I don't know if it was like as I said, I haven't unfortunately been to the property. I was never in it previously, but just from the notes that I was able to obtain, that's kind of how we had it previously from the previous owner had it as. So those are some of the reasons why we still have it currently in its current classification. So, but I am mindful of the fact, yes, it's being used for storage. So, but that, that might be something we could, maybe take a look at going forward potentially. So.
A little hard calling it an office when there's no real office space within the building, is there?
Yeah, like I said, it's a very interesting classification of how it is. So that's what I'm saying. So maybe this might be something we'd have to take a look at going forward. As I said, there's like a lot of office/warehouse spaces in here that are kind of similar. So yeah, but I don't dispute that. Yeah. So
because if we take a look at your page 6 for the classification for cap rates,
correct.
I'll fall more into almost some sort of retail. Where do the gyms fall in?
Yeah, and you know what, and that's another thing too. I was looking at it. You're right. You almost could potentially classify this potentially as a retail as well. So it's kind of very subjective in terms of what it can be classified as. So, like I said, getting some of this information going forward now with what it's used for, that this could be something that we could take a look at, maybe make an adjustment appropriate for what it's currently used as. So, but yeah, retail would be like like a strip mall or something, like kind of more or less, or like a like little strip malls around the city, or big box warehouses and such like that. That would be kind of more of a true retail space. So, there's not really a business where you could maybe potentially classify it, but I think it's easier. You have strip, community, power center. Those really wouldn't fall under for what the property's being used for, really. So,
I think Mr. Park said when he put the addition on, he's using that back portion for storage. Is that not what he said?
Yeah, I believe that was correct. Yes, the storage space, correct? Yes.
That new addition that went on the back, correct?
Just to clarify, portions of it is for storage, not all of it.
Okay, is that
Yes.
is the back wall been removed, or is that a separate section back there now?
So basically, when we originally purchased it, it was up to a certain point, and basically the back outer wall was removed to add on extra square footage to the building.
So you did remove that back wall, and that's where those two big doors used to be to go in, correct?
Correct, yes.
Because there used to be doors on the back of that building.
There used to be two big storage doors, yes. I believe. Actually, no, there was no garage doors. There were two big kind of opening doors on either side of the building near the back. So there was nothing where it was like the garage doors. It was two big metal doors that basically opened straight out for an opening, and that was on either side of the back of the building.
I'm going back to Matthew again now. So Matthew, we've got a number of industrial buildings that are being used for these types of recreations. Almost, you got some are being used as trampoline parks, as kid parks. Where do they fall?
Yeah, I mean, like those ones too, you know, like I said, I know what you're aware of. I mean, those ones, you know, I've seen some of them classified as retail in some cases, because again, there's like actual retail business in there. So, it's really hard to say, you know, one type of use for everything. You're right. I mean, I understand there is a difference in terms of the classification. So, you know, but at the end of the day, if you have a building, I mean, you really could reconfigure to kind of what you're using it for. So, but I don't dispute, like, you know, this is being used for storage. But as I said, you know, it's really hard to classify it as an industrial warehouse in a sense, because it's not really like you don't have the, you know, in industrial warehouse, you're going to need to be loading in, you know, loading in things and such. So with no bay doors, it makes it really difficult to do that. And as I said, almost every single industrial warehouse I've ever seen has some kind of, you know, loading doors, whether it be in the back or the sides, you know, typical garage door or like an below ground loading and such like that. So.
I'm just trying to find where the best spot would be for the cap rate. I found your cap rate that you gave was what?
6.15.
6.15. And you were going with office.
Correct. That's because that's what we currently are classifying as. That's why I'm using that. Yes. So
even going office at 6.9. I mean, going on the high end.
Oh yeah. Well, again, that's with what we're finding on the 28th percentile. So yes, we're seeing cap rates fall within that range. Yes, from 5.6 to 6.9. So, as I said, the reason we're using lower cap rate would be more or less based on the age, size, location. So that would be the reasoning for the lower cap rate. So,
if that was the use.
Correct. Yes.
And we know now it's not the use of the building. That's why I'm fighting with what the cap rate and trying to use your information that you presented doesn't show me a cap rate for this type of a building unless I go to retail.
I mean, you know, I guess I'll have to leave that up to you what you want to decide to use it as. Like I said, we're classifying it as an office, so that's kind of what I'm kind of following. So, but
yeah. So, what does he have to do to change the classification?
I mean, this would be maybe something we'd have to, you know, take an inspection and look at it, and then we could kind of maybe a bit more detail into it. We could kind of maybe potentially reclassify it. That's kind of the best thing we could do at this point, obviously. So, in my opinion, so that's what I would suggest. We'll have to look at going forward. So,
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes, you can, Gail.
Matthew, in your presentation, you don't include any sales history. We are aware that this property did sell, so can you provide us that sale?
Yeah.
And was it an open market sale?
Yeah, see, that's typically like unless it was like an open market sale, we wouldn't. I mean, there are cases where it's, you know, sometimes we don't get, like, for example, we do send out sales mailers to provide us with information on sales. So if there are sales that don't happen open market, we may not receive that information. So there may be a sale that we're just not aware of ever. So, because like, yeah, I don't have any record of that sale personally, honestly. So, but.
Okay, so it may be that it wasn't open market sale. Can I ask that of the applicant, Mr. Chair?
Yes, I said we'd keep them open.
Okay, so Mr. Applicant, Mr. Park, can you advise if the sale, when you purchased the property in 1999, was an open market sale, that it was listed and on the open market, or was it a private sale?
It was listed on the open market. We went through an agent to actually do that. So yes,
okay.
But it was an open market.
And yeah, we don't have any information on, unfortunately. So just looking at our records. So.
Okay.
Am I able to ask a question, sir? Or just to clarify?
What would you like clarified, Mr. Park?
Yes, sir. I know that Mr. Harlan, you had mentioned that the classification of the building is office. Like,
correct.
On the assessment, I guess, information that I'd received, the property use code for the adjacent buildings are office, but 95 Squarefield is classified as warehouse. So
Well,
I don't know
that is
where
the-
there's, I guess, some mix of information.
No, like basically like the parcel use, which is like, because like I said, the area has a lot of industrial uses. So the parcel use is not the same as the classification use. The parcel use stands for property use code, whereas I know it's a little confusing. The actual classification is office. So because there's a lot of industrial in there, so it's not really. It's kind of an interesting thing because like we have like, for example, like the actual adjacent property's office. The one before it is office, and there's actually a property right across the street which is classified as industrial, which is also kind of used for office space. So there's a lot of like inherited different zonings in here, so that's why we classify it as industrial warehouse, even though we are having it as an office. But as I said, this is something that we might have to take a look at going forward to maybe look at that again, obviously. So because like I said, obviously I know it's not being primarily used for office space, so.
Right, and just from a, I guess, a property owner's perspective and from a layperson's perspective, it'd be, I guess, good for us to know what type of things that we can do as property owners to say, hey, this is how we can, do certain things or to get a specific classification. Because if you're from the city and you're kind of having a little bit of difficulty in terms of just explaining what the classification is. From my perspective, I'm kind of lost. I'm trying to figure things out here, but the information is vague.
Yeah, like honestly, like if you ever have any issues like that, I definitely would recommend reaching out to us because there's always going to things that we don't have. Things change with buildings all the time and stuff like that. So I definitely like as I said, this would be something maybe good. We can inspect this in the future, so we can maybe relook at it. Maybe change the potential classification of it. Then so.
Thank you.
I have the same question of both.
Go ahead, Robert.
The assessor and the applicant. After listening to all the answers to the questions that have been, it seems to boil down to the nature of the use of the category is vague, and there seems to be no distinct idea of how to evaluate certain things. Like office space is one thing, and to me, you're looking at the use of this property more like on the number of people that use it, membership numbers and such. Maybe I'm just looking at it in a different way, or maybe not the correct way. Is that correct? Do you feel that might be a debate that should be taking place, as the assessor pointed out, should be done in follow-up of this?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely something that we should, because like I said, this property, like I just looking at the notes, there hasn't been a lot of changes that we have in our system for quite some few years. So, and as I said, property uses change and things will change about the property, so we're not always aware of, especially if we don't. In situations where an appeal comes up, this obviously opens up a lot of information. So, as I said, we haven't looked at this property in quite a few years. So, that's why something we should probably take a look at it. We can revise how we're assessing it then.
So it seems like the assessed value is based on rental value as well too. All right, the today's market rental value.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry.
So basically, if you look at 95 Squarefield, our rental value basically should be classified more as warehouse than anything else, just because again, majority of the property, which is 6,000 plus square feet, is basically just mats which we remove, and it's just concrete floors, just like in a warehouse. There's no walls. For me to rent it out as such as office space, I would have to actually make leasehold improvements basically to create these walls and new HVAC systems, new electrical, as opposed to what we're using it for now, which is basically virtually, something that they would use for warehouses. I mean, it's concrete floors with paints on the wall.
Yeah, no, like I said, that's why I'm saying this is one we can definitely take a look at going forward, obviously. But like as I said, like currently, like the way it is, like it's the fact that it doesn't really have any. One of the issues that we have is the fact it doesn't really have any loading bay doors, which makes it kind of hard to really have it as a true storage warehouse. But I don't dispute that this is something we can definitely, I'm gonna make some notes on. We should take a look at for going forward, though. So.
Okay, either way, we'll have to deal with this after, and I'd like to I don't usually give advice, but when you, because of the non-compliance issue, Mr. Park, that means even if we do grant you a reprieve on the number, you would not be receiving it during the first taxation year. You'd miss 1 year on that number, so it's important that your sheets be filled out and sent to the city each and every year, and you haven't done it since 2015, I believe. You should, and if you brought those up to date, they'd catch what you were using the building for as well.
Correct. Basically, I was actually speaking with my wife, who actually handles all the taxes and bookkeeping and stuff, and basically she said that she doesn't recall receiving anything this past year. But anytime that we receive it, we have received it in the past, we actually send it to our accountant from Grant Thornton, and they've been submitting it. So we put a call in and sent an email. They didn't answer, just to verify that according to the city, it's been 2015 since they last received our, our paperwork.
Right.
And so, yes, we'll find out from them if I'm sure they should have a record of what's been submitted. Or not, but so I don't know if that would make a difference in terms of if they can show evidence that they had submitted it to the city.
We can't use any of that information today, though. That's the problem. But if you meet with the city and have them review what you're doing there, Master Park, could make a big difference.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude that matter. Where am I going? Can you get everybody there? We got them all, didn't we?
Yeah, but we have to conclude that
Yeah.
item number 3, Mr. Chair.
Huh?
Item number 3, the
Oh, right.
applicant is not here yet.
Okay, stick around, Matthew, for a minute. We're gonna have a little discussion and we'll be back.
Okay, thank you.
Call the meeting back to order. Matthew, if you could take item 3, which is I think 860 Marion, 860 Marion?
Yes.
Thank
Read it on the record, please.
Thanks, Chairman. The file number is 223712. The roll number is 0603015200, and the address is 860 Marion Street. And the owner is number company 100665639 Manitoba Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on reference date of April 2021 is $520,000. Just to make sure, would you like me to go through the whole presentation? Sorry, as long
as we got the basic stuff on.
Okay, sure. I can just I can just go through I can go through, sure. Yeah. Just looking at the bottom of page 1, we'll see the property description information. The effective year built is 1986. The wall heights are 14 feet. The land area is 19,943 square feet, with a leasable area of 5,000 square feet and a land to plant area of 3.99. Go to page 2 of my brief, so to see the request for information has been received. There was a recent sale on the subject, however, this is post-reference, so I will not be speaking to it. Oh wait, oh yes, it is post-reference, correct. It is post-reference, I won't be speaking to it. And there are no subject property leases in place. Now if we go to page 3 of my brief, you'll just see some of my rental comparables. They range from 2017 to 2020 for lease start dates. The lease terms are 1 to 5 years. Leasable areas are 2,000 to 7,007 square feet. Wall heights range from 12 feet to 14 feet. The effective year builds range from 1966 to 1988 or 86. And the net rents range from $6.27 a square foot to $6.50 a square foot. Page 4 of my brief, this is just the income workup. Again, we're using a leasable area of 5,000 square feet and a model rent of $6.20 a square foot, which gives us a potential rent of $31,000. We're applying 4% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of 29,760. 3%. We are allowing 3% for non-coverable expenses and $3.85 square foot cost to cover shortfall, which gives us or cost to cover vacancy, which gives us a net operating income of 28,097. And we're applying a mall cap of 5.4%, which gives us an estimated market value of $520,000. Is that kind of go there? Would you like to go with the rest of the presentation, or?
Gail, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Robert?
No questions.
And I've got no questions. Thank you very much for your presentation, Matthew.
Thanks, Chairman.
Now I'll go down here. We have heard all the items scheduled at this hearing, and the hearing is now adjourned.